San Jose gets back to its winning ways in the state of hockey. The Sharks win 4-1. We will discuss it. And along with everything else, with this 8th win for Team Teal right now on Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night, November 16th, 2021. The San Jose Sharks are victorious 4-1 over the Minnesota Mild. We got plenty of things that weren't mild in this game to talk about, but first, we welcome you to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every single Sharks game, home and away, so if you want to be part of the show, here's how you do it. Chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. And, of course, follow us on the social, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, you name it, all that, Discord, all that fun social media stuff. Of course, you can find everything at tealtownusa.com. So, with that, good evening, everyone. Peeking through the shadows, it is Ian Reid. How are you, bud?
I'm all right. I'm good. Is it dark? Do I need to turn my? I need to turn my light. That's fine.
Your light is totally fine. You are good to go.
Okay.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. This game, quite interesting. All around. I mean, this had everything. This had goals. This had people's showing liberties. I mean, all around, some fights in it. I mean, but overall, I think this was a solid victory for the Sharks.
Yeah, a big bounce back game. I don't think anyone, including coaching staff, was happy about how they played on Saturday night. And I didn't completely watch the game. I was kind of doing a couple things at once, but I'm glad I only took the occasional glance at that game, because anytime I glanced over, it really wasn't going well for the Sharks. This game was a big bounce back for them. I think they got back to doing a lot of the things that they were successful doing. And, and it worked out for them tonight against a good team like the Minnesota Wild. As much as I like to poke fun at them, they've been really good this year. So I think that all in all, there's a lot to like about this game.
Yeah, I mean, they played a solid game against a solid club that was one of the teams vying for the top spot in the Central. And considering, with Kaprizov around and among others, like we'll talk about Erik having, a solid night, had a nice goal as well for Minnesota. And all around a good night for San Jose in this one. So let's grip it and rip it and get into it. Right now, early on, it seems like it's becoming a theme here that the opponents of the Sharks are trying to take some liberties, but I think more so tonight in Minnesota. You saw them going after like Timo Meier early on. We'll get to the Barabanov situation a little bit later, but Greenway and Dumba trying to crash on the Sharks a little bit, and it led to some blows between Middleton and Greenway. I thought that was Middleton's way of saying, all right, don't you start running with your heads cut off, here. I'm trying to simmer it down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of both those guys' games, right? Like, those guys are both heavy players. They're if you give them an opportunity to lay a hit, they're going to take the hit. But it was good to see, Middleton kind of sticking up for guys. It was good to see, even though Hurdle got that funny penalty, got a penalty for, just one penalty for roughing there. I thought that was a good response to the hit that was thrown, right? And I think, like the broadcast said, you'd want to see kind of Dumba if you're going to run around and I don't think Dumba's an overly dirty player per se, but very opportunistic. And I think if you're gonna run guys, then like you should probably use your own fists instead of having Foligno do it for you. But I kind of thought that was kind of annoying. But overall, like, I've never been a huge fan where like a clean play, like, oh, there's a big clean hit and now I've got to go fight you, right? Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to answer a legal play with an illegal one. I have never understood that part of quote unquote hockey culture. But but there was some questionable hits. So I think I don't blame, I don't blame guys for going in and sticking up for their teammates.
Yeah, no, because you are a team, and you want to stand up for them, and you are working together for a goal. I think that's probably where they're going with it, like crazy. But yeah, I'm with you. I never understood the whole. Oh, you hit me. You hit a guy. Now I must
Now we
obliterate
must
you.
fight. Right. Yeah. Like it's always
Caveman
seems like a
hockey.
dumb thing to me, right? Like if someone lays a hit, then you should just go lay a hit of your own. Like I've never understood this fighting after a clean hit. Fighting after a questionable hit or an absolutely dirty hit, yeah, absolutely. But fighting after just a good clean hit, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Like I understand why it's a thing. But I just think it's dumb.
So Middleton and Greenway serve fighting majors, but it seemed like it kind of sparked the Sharks up because just not even like a half minute later, Mario Ferraro is pinching in and buries a nice pass to him from Couture to make it 1-0. Ferraro, the defense getting into the scoring once again.
Yeah, I've loved a lot about Mario Ferraro's game. I think that now that he's not having to do everything, he can go back to focusing on what he does well. Because let's be honest, like him and Burns were getting a stupid amount of minutes when the COVID thing was going on. And now that they've got guys that can munch minutes again, I think I don't think Ferraro was bad over the COVID stretch, but I think he was being asked to do a lot and maybe things that he normally wouldn't do in his game. And I think it's okay to say that, maybe he didn't excel at all of it, or maybe, he was asked to do a lot more than he should be asked for. I think Mario Ferraro is a great defenseman, but I think everyone has their limits, and, you kind of want your guys to stick within those limits. And I think that being able to kind of go back and just play his game without having to worry about being the entire defense, I think is gonna serve him well. And I thought it was a good pinch. And I think the one thing that you gotta love Mario Ferraro is the way that he has the intelligence to know when he needs to chip in and when he needs to play defense.
Right.
He's never gonna be a guy that's gonna blow up the score sheet like a Makar or one of those guys. But I think a well-timed pinch. I think he's really good at timing those, and this one worked out. Couture gives him the puck, and in the net it goes.
Yeah, and he looks to have that smart hockey sense that you usually don't see right off the get go from a third year player. I mean, I know we tweeted out that future captain material, and we've been saying that for years. But he just seems like to be an awesome defenseman. It's just it just is going to hurt me when we have to pay him.
Well, I don't think so.
You don't?
Like, what do you think? If you were gonna give him a contract tomorrow, how much are you paying him?
Maybe he gets that mid-level Vlasic deal, that
Like,
sweetheart
because I
Vlasic deal,
don't
that the
think, like,
$4
I
million.
love Mario Ferraro, but I don't think he's a $9 million defenseman. Like, I don't think you pay him with those other guys. And that's why I always get kind of confused when people are like,
Sure.
oh God, man, that Mario contract's in it. Why? He's not in, he's a very good defenseman, but he is not in that Cale Makar echelon of defensemen. And I only use him just because that's,
Right.
I think when you look at that 9 million guy, you're looking at guys like Cale Makar, and I don't think they are in the same stratosphere of player. He's very good, and this is not to take anything away from Ferraro, who I think is a very good defenseman,
Right.
but he is not elite.
No, I don't think he's an elite defenseman. At the very least, not yet. But he's definitely shown a lot of.
He's always going to be I think he's going to be a steady two-way mid-pair guy.
Yeah. So, I think he's a solid defenseman, but yeah, he's not going to get the big numbers. At least I don't think. One who has gotten big numbers, Timo Meier, he got his 6th of the season on a nice play from Vlasic and Couture. And now let's talk about this defenseman who got called out yesterday from Bob Bugner. He got, Šimik was scratched. Hataka comes in for him. Vlasic kind of, I don't want to say doghouse because that might upset him, but, definitely needing to get a swift kick in the butt going. And honestly, he didn't look too bad tonight. He had an assist, 2 blocks in less than 15 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, I think it's a situation where you've got a bunch of guys, but not all of them fit well together, right? And I think that's the big problem with the Sharks decor. Right. I don't think Šimik and Vlasic are very good. Like, I don't think that's a great combination of guys to begin with, which certainly doesn't help. But obviously, when you've got guys playing well, you've got Middleton playing well with Karlsson, you've got Burns playing well. Like, what do you do, right? You've got 2 guys one making a hefty amount of money and one making not, like Šimik's deal isn't cheap. I mean, it's cheaper, but it's not like he's a league minimum defenseman. Like, this guy's making $2.5 million, right? So I'm glad that one of them got sat. I'm not going to sit here and argue over who should sit worse. Like, I think that combination's been absolute dog shit. And I think I don't think anyone would disagree with me at this point. No. So yeah, I thought Vlasic played better, and I just wonder if, like, Vlasic's paid to be a defenseman that should still play well regardless of who he's paired with, but I've never liked that combination.
Yeah, I thought Šimik was with Burns for a while early on in his career. We're calling him like the next coming of the Burns Whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
but I think if you're looking for guys to respond, I think Vlasic did respond tonight, and I think he responded well. I don't want to like just turn this into a Vlasic bashing thing, but I think for whatever reason, like, it just seems like his best hockey's behind him, unfortunately. So you just have to try and find a way to get the most out of him while we write out the deal.
Yeah, and Kenny mentioning Pickles looked good tonight. Couple attempted shots on net as well. Message was received.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And look good on him for stepping up his game when called out. I mean, there was a lot of times last year where guys got called out and they just continued doing the same shit every game and didn't really respond at all, right? So, I mean, whatever Boogie's doing in the room, it's clearly doing something. Like, I think that it was a good to send a message to a guy like Šimik, right?
Yeah.
It's good to send a message to other guys. So hopefully, as long as guys keep responding, it's just the problem you ought to worry about, though, is eventually, you can only nag a guy for so long before it's like, well, I make $7 million and have basically a no move clause. So, it's me or you, Mr. Coach, that can get fired tomorrow.
Right, of course. So the Sharks would have a 2-1 lead going into the second period, or 2-0 lead, I should say. They would get to 2-1 thanks to a Minnesota goal. Joel Eriksson Ek on the goal there. I just think I don't think Reimer really saw it per se. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I didn't have a problem with the goal.
Yeah,
the Wild scored. I think it's fine. I thought Reimer played a good game. I think Reimer continues to be the better goalie of this tandem, which I think is problematic because he's not supposed to be the guy. Like, right. Hill was brought in to be the guy, and I don't want to completely dump on Hill either, because I don't think, look at that. The whole team was awful in Colorado. Like, there wasn't much redeeming about that game. So it's hard to, when the whole team sucks like that, to just be like, well, yeah, Adin Hill sucks. Yeah. But I think a lot of his goaltending performances so far have been you got to start being a little concerned, I think, about Adin Hill at this point. I'm not saying we should give him the Jones treatment, but I think that you would be okay to be a little concerned about Adin Hill's plays in comparison to Reimer, at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because how Reimer has been playing and having one of the best save percentages in the league, along with one of the best goals against averages in the league. Obviously, if you need a game, you need to pick a goaltender to go with. Reimer's your guy right now, and Hill has shown those flashes, and he just needs to be more consistent. I mean,
yeah,
that's his best
I think
thing.
It's just consistency. And look, this is a guy who's played, how many NHL games? Like not even 60 yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of time here, and that's why I said it's not like you want to like sit here and like start giving Hill the Jones treatment, because I don't think like we didn't give Jones the Jones treatment for a long time. Like we gave Jones a lot of runway, and I think Hill deserves the same. But again, a little bit concerned. But I mean, as long as you're getting quality goaltending from Reimer, I mean, you keep splitting the load until Hill finally, gets his feet under him a little better.
Right. Well, and you can't see, the thing is that you almost want to go with Reimer and roll with it, but at the same time you do need to get Hill some games, get his confidence up, and keep building up.
I mean, yeah, like here's the thing, right? It depends on like what you think this team is. Like this team right now, all things considered, in a pretty decent place, but it's a 500 hockey club.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, do you need to pick a starter? No, I think you just keep, I think you try and ride the hot hand when you can, but I don't think there's any, you don't need to be like, okay, Reimer's the official starter now because he's been better and he's just going to start a billion games. Like, I don't think when's the last time Reimer's worked that kind of workload? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of it. I mean, after he was here after the trade to Toronto, then he went to Florida, then Carolina. I mean, really, it's been more of a tandem situation, and I think that's
and
what
it's
they're
the way it
hoping
should
with.
stay. Yeah, and that's the way it should stay, because I don't think, like, I don't really want to see Reimer start 60 games because I don't think he will hold up to 60 games. Like, I think Reimer's a very good goalie, but he's never been the workhorse goalie, right? He's always been the guy you want to, he's the guy you want to tandem. So I like the tandem. I think they should continue tandeming. I think, again, like I've kind of said this all year, like the worst thing they could do at this point is just name someone the starter and then start riding them.
Yeah, I mean, I know Booger did mention at yesterday's media session that it's time to give the hot hand extended time, but not that much extended time. I mean, let's not get too crazy. Let's not get all Antti Niemi or Evgeny Nabokov, or let's even go
Martin Jones.
Martin Jones. Heck, even Arturs Urbe. I think Urbe played 78 games. They ran.
Yeah, but that was like in 19. Like, I don't know.
But
like it's an apt comparison, crazy. But I think you want to, like, I understand the point, but at the same time, like, it was a completely different management group.
Oh, for sure.
Right, and that's why I don't like reaching back that far. I just like Urbe's an apt, or not Urbe, sorry, Niemi, Nabokov. Like, those are apt comparisons because those were under this management group. Martin Jones got the tread run off the wheels in his time here.
Right, and that's I'm not even trying to compare it to that. I'm just saying how much game time that was played.
Yeah, and Matt in the chat, Reimer's never started more than 44 games in his NHL career. There's probably a reason for that.
You don't want to burn him out. It's like
right. No, exactly.
like a kid playing his first year. So, moving onward to kind of the big play of the game here in my mind. Barabanov was waiting for the puck to come up to him. He starts trying to start getting some speed. Dumba is coming in and takes a shot. It looked like it got head, or at least it got partial head. It might be a shoulder then head. He did look like his follow through made him jump a little bit. And yet Hurdle gets 2 minutes for roughing, and that's it. What do you think?
I don't. I'm gonna make people mad. I didn't love the hit, but at the same time, like, Barabanov could not make himself any smaller in that play. Like, who's on the ice with you. You have to, like, there has to be there. It's not just like, I know, and people are gonna be like, oh, you're blaming the victim. Fine, whatever. But, like, you have to be aware of who you're on the ice with, and you have to make an attempt to protect yourself. Barabanov just got really small. So, yeah, of course he got hit in the head. That's what happens when you basically go in the fetal position before you get hit. Right? Like, I'm not saying it was a good hit. Like, and maybe Dumba needs to light up, but I still think it goes both ways, right? Like, you have a responsibility not to lay dirty hits. You also have the responsibility as the player being hit to protect yourself.
I completely agree. You don't see the entire. I mean, you hate to see all the.
Like I said, I'm not saying it was a good hit. You would like to see Barabanov do more to protect himself from that hit. That's all. Like, it's not a good hit. Dumba could light up. I agree.
Skylar, thank you for the $2 super chat donation. I'm not going to repeat myself, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hope you keep that in your memo. Okay. But again, moving on. Then Eriksson Ek takes a tripping call, which I thought was a little ticky-tacky. I think that was probably a makeup call for more than anything. But then 10 seconds after they start skating 4-on-4, Erik freaking Karlsson grips it and rips it off the post and in to make it 3-1. Good to see Karlsson, first off, shoot first. Secondly, you kind of expect Burns with his stature to have that big booming shot. Karlsson's got a pretty sweet one himself, and used it in this
deceptive too.
Yeah,
like that's the difference. Like Burns, you kind of know what's coming. It's going to be just an absolute rocket, and like Karlsson, the difference between like he's more deceptive in his shot selection. You don't know what is going to come off that stick. You kind of know what's going to happen with Burns. Like he's going to grip it and rip it, right? Like you know what's coming. With Karlsson, he's a lot more deceptive with his shot selection, and you never know what is going to come off that stick until it's coming.
And an assist to Jake Middleton on the play, and Matt H in the chat earlier. Who would have thought that Jake Middleton would fit into the Sharks decor like he has? The guy was
great for him, right? Like, I mean, for a guy, because like Jake Middleton's a guy who's been in the system forever, and he's been passed on the depth chart a bajillion times. So if you had Jake Middleton's going to be a regular NHLer on your 2021 bingo card, good on you. I sure as hell didn't.
No, I mean, projected to be a career AHLer, and here he is playing with EK65 and fitting in nicely, to be quite honest. I mean,
the only thing that would concern me about this Jake Middleton situation is like, if anyone says the Karlsson whisperer, I'm hunting you down, and it's not going to be good, right? Like, we don't need to get back into this habit where we like hype guys up. Like, I think he's done very well playing with Karlsson, but I think a lot of people would do very well playing with Erik Karlsson. We don't need to pay Jake Middleton shimmick money because he has one good season with Erik Karlsson. So let's not start the Karlsson whisperer nonsense. Like, it's good and we should enjoy it, but I don't. And I'm not saying this, like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jake Middleton, but the Sharks have done a lot of stupid stuff because they think, oh, well, now we've got the guy that can play with this guy. And then the next season it all falls apart.
Yeah.
Like how many guys have played with Burns? Like, oh, we finally figured it out. And then the next season we're like, oh, we don't have that guy.
Or that guy just gets burned by William Karlsson to the playoffs, and next thing you know, Joachim Ryan's in.
Right.
We're going forward. Yeah. And then
yeah.
Shimmick, and I mean, I get what you're saying. Middleton, I mean, 17 minutes of ice time plus
good. I mean, good on him. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. It always scares me when you have like a guy who's coming in and just catches lightning in a bottle, that they're just going to do something dumb long term because of it.
Very true. Ironically, strangely enough, the decor overall, like Hataka had a little bit under 12 minutes of ice time. Ironically enough, the only one that has a minus behind his name tonight. I mean, granted, yes, plus minus not exactly the biggest thing, but Vlasic, 14:47, Middleton 17:07, Ferraro played just a little bit under 23 minutes. Erik Karlsson playing over 23 minutes. Burnsy still at 26:55 though,
which is where he's gonna stay. Like, Burns is always gonna munch minutes. He's just that guy.
So good job all around with the defense, working with this with offensively, defensively. Obviously, one goal. We say we blame the decor when it was Martin Jones. We should give them kudos for when they've had a good night. And James Reimer with the 26 save performance, 963 save percentage. I mean, defensively they looked good. I mean, overall, I think everybody looked good in this one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I said, it was just such a great response after what happened in Colorado. And I think that it's a tough, again, guys coming back into the lineup after not playing for a while, like there you can practice and you can work out all you want, but nothing replaces NHL game time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then, you could, obviously I've heard, the altitude, which, yeah, that's probably a factor too. It's not exactly the most ideal way to come back in the line. Oh, you're going to play in Colorado. You're going to jump back in the lineup in Colorado and play a mile above, above sea level. And so I think that, I think all things considered, like there was a lot of built-in excuses for that Colorado game. I don't think it completely excuses the execution though. Like I don't think you should just give the team a pass because of it, because I think they just still didn't play very well. But definitely the kind of response you'd want to see after an embarrassment game like that. Because I think that was probably the most embarrassing game this season was the Colorado one. From what little I mean, and I didn't want to go back and like watch it in any detail because from what I saw, I didn't like what I saw. So there was like nothing there that I'm like, oh, maybe I should go back and see what I feel like. I just feel like from what little I saw, and then from what I gleaned from smart people like yourselves on the Twitters, I felt like I saw all I needed to see in that one. So again, great response for them tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so decor and all the players coming off of the COVID protocol. Having a solid night. Kenny, as we head into the third period, Kenny saying, whoever blew that D assignment for the Wild on the hurdle goal is getting gassed tomorrow at practice. Yeah, hurdle was left wide open. I mean, whoops.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to leave Hurdle out there all alone because he's a dangerous player. He can do things. So if you blow that coverage on a guy like Hurdle, he's going to make you pay.
Yeah, and I think besides that, the Sharks really went into shutdown mode. I don't want to say prevent mode, but they looked pretty solid defensively in the end there. I did like Cogs trying to get Bonino a point with the empty netter on there. I mean, I know that's kind of a little rough, but I mean, shoot, man.
Sometimes it's one of those things, right? Where like, and I've said this about Balsers, right? Where it's like you just need one and hopefully the Danvers, and for a guy for a veteran like Bonino, like you got to think like he's got enough offensive acumen that once he gets a point, he's going to be fine. But I'm not worried about it. Like I'm not super concerned about Bonino's lack of production. I mean, you want to see some for sure because they're kind of built to be like, a three-line offensive team. I think that's what they're looking for. I don't know if they have the manpower to do it, but I think that's the approach that they've tried to take. So obviously getting Bonino off the Schneid would probably be helpful in that regard, but
right.
I don't.
But it's not like a big
there's a lot of,
to do.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about it. I know there's definitely out there that, a lot of people aren't super pleased with Bonino so far. I don't know if I'm there yet. I'm not super impressed. I think maybe when you're thinking like, okay, well, compared to, who was the third line guy last year? Marleau, Gambrell.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Donato.
He's been better than those two. I mean, that's a low bar, but I mean, I don't know. I there's a lot like I'm not trying to look for reasons to be mad at this team. If that makes any sense. Like, and I guess maybe that makes my analysis a little soft so far this season, but I'm not looking for reasons to be mad. Like, there's a lot of good things going on, and I'd like to just focus on that. I mean, we've got all season to get mad. I'm just not there yet.
I think outside the Colorado game, this team has been solid. It's been showing effort. It's been showing a give a damn. It's been trying to do whatever it takes to get the win. Yeah, have there been hiccups in some games? Sure.
For sure.
I mean, but that Colorado
But
game.
you have that many rookies in the lineup, that's going to happen.
Yeah, and you're gonna have what I think we had. What did Benito say? Like 11 guys with less than 50 games of experience in the lineup at one time. That's crazy. And to pull off what they've pulled off they're now 8-7-1. So in 16 games with this set of guys, it's a huge accomplishment.
All things considered, absolutely. Like this is all things considered, this is much better than I probably thought this team. Like I had hopes this team would be a better team this year and would like probably sniff around the middle of the pack in the Pacific. But I had hopes for that, but I wasn't sure. I mean, so far, like I'm not upset at anything so far, right? Like
Right.
It depends on where you are. Like, what do you want to see? Like, what do you think this team is? What's the end goal? Like, obviously, okay, if this is a team, like if you think that the goal is the Stanley Cup every year, then I guess you're a little annoyed because this team isn't winning no Stanley Cups.
And Rockets,
right?
Rockets saying Benito is our cup guy. Doug has to have a cup guy.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong at all. Rocket, good to see you in the chat, my friend. Miss you. Let's get to some of the comments from the dressing room. Bugner, talking about, I thought that was Vlasic's best game of the year. Hawkeye had jump. It was nice to see 4 lines rolling. Couture was mentioning that they had a good game, defended hard block shots. Happy to see them as well. The Sharks had 18 shots blocked in this game tonight as well, and that's one thing that they've been really good on this season as well, in putting their Benito. I keep going back to that one block against Calgary with that effort. Erik Karlsson saying, getting my goal gave us breathing room, not having to worry that they might tie it up. We knew they were a team that likes to grind you down, and we stuck with it. And against a team that has all that firepower, way to have that shut down.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see, what else do we have here? Middleton and Hurdle, they answered the bell at the right time, looking to get physical. Both those were turning points in the game. And that's the other thing too, is that both of those within like a minute or two, if that, the Sharks responded with a goal. And that was always good to see. Talking about face-offs in the sense, Rudy's been working with Madden on face-offs. He won a big draw, and Carly puts it in. The Sharks at one time were getting dominated in a face-off circle almost 2-1 after the first period, and they end up tonight almost winning 60% of the draws.
Yeah, I think face-offs have definitely been something that I think the Sharks struggled with last season, and they've definitely gotten better this year.
Yeah, and
I think bringing in a guy in like Benito probably helps with that, although I'd have to look at the numbers to verify, but I feel like that's got to help.
No, overall, I think it's been a huge plus. I mean, how many times did we see a face-off draw last season and it ends up being a goal within 5-10 seconds after the opposing team, gets the goal there?
So like Benito was 67% in the dot tonight. So
wow. I mean, what else? Weatherby 71%. Timo.
Yeah, Weatherby. I mean, again, guy who's maybe not doing amazing things on the score sheet, but I really liked Weatherby's game. I think it suits that I think he suits that spot a lot more than a guy like Gambrell did.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was a positive in the faceoff circle except for Labanc, and he probably took like maybe one draw on there. Let's talk about Banker. We played about 11 minutes of ice time tonight on the fourth line. Definitely got he got 4 shots on goal, so he was definitely trying to get out and do his diligence in on the fourth line. Definitely saw him hustling a little bit more, not taking that cheap penalty.
Yeah, Banker's, he's an interesting one, right? Because I don't know what you do with Banker at this point. Like, I don't think he's a weird he's a weird fit on the fourth line. Like, I think starting him on the fourth line, I understand you're trying to send a message, but it's not really where you want him to be. Like, he's never going to be a defensively responsible forward. It's just not his game.
No,
so I don't know why you want to put I understand you want to send a message, but at the same time, like, I don't think you're putting him in the position to succeed. Like, he's been on the third line most of the year. I don't know. I feel like I don't love Banker's game, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm a big Kevin Labanc guy, but I just feel like he's, he probably, I just wonder if he finishes more of those chances that Balcers doesn't.
Yeah. And do you think it's more so having the secondary scoring spread out more? I think
it helps. Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, that third line offensively, you're not getting anything out of that third line that you probably want to, considering some of the guys that you've put there, right? They're not like, they're third line guys, so they're not, all world defensive talent, but I feel like they've had enough. There's enough on that you figure it should factor into the offense a little bit more than it has so far.
Yeah. No, and Weatherby has shown flashes offense, especially at North Dakota.
For sure, yeah, but I think with Weatherby, like, Weatherby was never coming in to be a scoring guy, right? He's your grindy, he's your grindy bottom six guy who's going to win draws and and be a pain in the ass to play against. Like, if you look at his scoring in college, like, it's not there, which is why I don't think which is why I think he snuck up on a lot of people when he made this team, because generally the numbers that he put up in college don't translate to the NHL as well at all. So counting on a guy like Weatherby to be an offensive juggernaut, that's just not in the cards. It's never going to be there.
Gotcha. Although I do like him on the power play, getting his big butt in front
for
of
sure.
the goal.
Yeah, again, a grindy guy who's a pain in the ass to play against, a pain in the ass to move around. Like, he's he does his job, and he does it really well. I just think that I think that's the reason why he snuck up on a lot of people, because it wasn't like he was scoring in a very in a very good program in North Dakota, but he was never the guy putting up points.
Oh, very true. So the Sharks picked up their 8th win of the season. They're at 17 points on the campaign with a 4-1 victory over the Minnesota Wild. So they will play Thursday in St. Louis to finish up this road trip. So
it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting to see what happens here, and as we get closer, and it's a big matchup against the Blues, who actually lost to the Desert Dogs tonight. What on earth is going on here? Like, seriously,
every dog has his day.
Oh, come on now, Ian. Really? Oh, I need a drum set for that rim shot setup you just made there, bud. Oh boy. So Arizona gets their 2nd win on the campaign. St. Louis 4th at 18 points in the Central. So that's going to be a good matchup, and they'll be hungry, but they've lost 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's never the way you want to. Like, sometimes you want to go in and you want to catch teams at the right time. I think the Blues are going to be really mad after losing to the Coyotes. So, maybe that's not the game you want to catch them after. Maybe not, but maybe you can take advantage and, continue the slide for them. So it'll be interesting to see what Blues team shows up, because I think that, again, sometimes you don't want to catch a team coming off a big loss like that, especially when they're going to bounce back. But I don't think the Blues they've just been okay this year. So I think it's a team that the Sharks can certainly beat. I don't think I don't circle that game on the calendar and go, oh, God, Sharks going to look to get any points out of that one. I think they're a beatable team.
Yeah. And just need to take advantage of it. Finish off the road trip with a nice run there to get it done. Meier with 14 points in his first 10 games of the season, the all-time leader with the Sharks. Nolan was 17 points in 10 games.
Yeah, Timo Meier's been great. Like, I don't like to super pat myself on the back, but I mean, this is why all summer when everyone's like, "Oh God, we got to get rid of Timo Meier," I'm like, no, we don't. He's gonna be fine. Just get him a center who's not a shell of himself, and he will be fine. And sure enough, so far so good.
And looking good. He's been working well with Cooch. I know Bozosaurus has mentioned Cooch, Banker, and Kane were pretty good line last season. So was Kane, Hurdle, and Barabanov.
Yep.
We are 2 weeks away from whatever happens with Kane.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happens. But I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that those weren't good lines. Like, yeah, they were good lines for sure.
Yeah. So that's just about doing it for here. The scoring wise, I'm just gonna see what we got in the Pacific here. Canes and Golden Knights are tied 2-2 in the second. Ducks are up 1-0 on the Capitals.
Ducks have been super surprising this year so far.
I think everybody expected them to finish last, or a lot of people expected them to finish last. Or
I thought them and Calgary would be the bottom of the division, and that has not panned out well so far. Although I think with the with the one thing this year, and hopefully we don't see too many more postponements. But it's an Olympic year, so a guy, what's his name? Why can't I
help me out?
The Ducks goalie,
John Gibson.
Really good. Yes, obviously, so I'm not surprised to see the start that he's gotten off to, considering it's an Olympic year, right? Because there's guys are playing for spots on that Olympic team.
Yeah. What would you say for USA? Gibson, Hellebuck, and who else?
Pardon?
For USA goaltending, I mean,
John Gibson, Connor Hellebuck, and then I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. In Edmonton, losing to the Jets 5-2, Draisaitl had a pair of power play goals, but that was pretty much it. Speaking of Hellebuck, who didn't hella suck. But let's get to the Sens really quick. 10 players, in COVID protocol.
Spencer Knight. There you go. Yeah,
Spencer. Yeah, there you go. That's one. Although he had a little bit of a tough one. But Ottawa. So 10 players is apparently the threshold that you don't get to that you get games postponed. So explain to me why their 10 is more postponement than 7 for San Jose.
I think the difference is I could do this two ways. I could run into my kitchen, wrap my head in tinfoil, and say, because the NHL hates the Sharks, something Golden Knights, and everyone would cheer.
something Golden Knights. Go on.
I'm not going to do that. I think the difference between our situation and their situation, one, the Sharks got all their COVID like in a big cluster, right? So they had 7 guys, and it never really escaped the 7 guys. The Senators, on the other hand, it's like, I feel like every other day they're adding more players. So I think that's partially the problem. Other problem is that whole border thing, right? Now, obviously, there's 7 Canadian teams, or I don't know, 7, 8 Canadian teams. I don't remember.
7.
And the rest of them are in the States, right? So they're obviously going to have to cross the border more than a team like the Sharks would.
Right.
So obviously they were at home their last game against Calgary. Their next game was in New Jersey. They're not getting across the border. Then they would have to go across the border and then come back home. So could they play those home games? Probably. But again, I think that's the big difference. And also, I don't think you need to be a super mathematician to know that 10 is greater than 7. Right? Obviously, there has to be a point where, you're going to make the call. And I think if the Sharks were in a similar situation where they continuously kept adding guys instead of the way the Sharks did, they had a, 7 guys. It was mostly over the span of a couple of days, and that was it. And I think that if that was the case for the Senators, they're probably still playing. But because they keep continuously adding names to the COVID list, adding names, and it's hit their AHL affiliate pretty hard too, from what I understand. So there's probably more names on it than that are being listed off. So I think those are the differences between the two.
That would make sense because they don't have a pool to pull up from
right. And
minors.
Also, yeah. And then Skylar also bringing up, plus 4 injured, plus, obviously, again, border restrictions are different. Health restrictions are different based on regions. Our province not doing fantastic right now. Like I know locally up here, we've had more cases up here this month, and it keeps going up than we've ever had during the whole pandemic. There's been an outbreak at my kids' school, so they're stuck at home. Like they're fine. They haven't, like my kids are fine. I don't want to worry about my kids. They're fine, but they have to self-isolate for 10 days because there's cases in both their classes. So my kids are fine. They're not showing any symptoms. They seem fine. Hopefully they stay that way. But yeah, I feel like that's the difference. And I feel like like I said, if the Sharks were continuously adding names as the week went on, I think then the NHL would have approached them differently. And I think that's the difference. You have to bear in mind, if you don't like it, yell at me on Twitter and tell me that it's just a conspiracy. That's fine. I will hear you out.
But I think a lot of people were upset. We saw like James Myrtle saying this is getting out of hand. You got to postpone these games.
Yes.
But now that it's explained a little bit more, I think a lot more people can say, okay, this makes sense, especially if it's hitting Belleville. That's a tough part. Plus, all the restrictions and everything. So that makes a lot more sense. And I'll promise not to put the tinfoil on.
I think. Look, obviously, the Sharks media is 4 or 5 people. The Canadian media is a lot of people.
Right.
Like it's a disproportionate amount of coverage up there than down here. So obviously, yeah. Was it hilarious when, like earlier in the thing, we're like, oh, I think they got to panic games. You're like, yeah, laughs in San Jose Sharks. But I think as it went on, like as it continued, you could see the differences. And if you don't see the differences, that's fine too.
Yeah. So first and foremost, hope your kids are okay and
they'll be fine. I think I'm not too concerned.
Gotcha.
They're young, they're healthy, so I'm, ideally they don't show any symptoms and they go back to school in 10 days and everyone's happy.
Good. But hopefully Ottawa's situation rectifies sooner than later. Let's just hope it's nothing like what Vancouver went through last year in the middle of the season. So
right, and that's it, right? And obviously, if you want to see best on best Olympics, like we don't want to see too many more of these outbreaks because the more games that get postponed, the more likely it is that the Olympics will get canned and the NHLers won't go.
And you'll hear a lot of moaning and groaning for sure. So,
although you might get to see Olympic Eklund then, that might be cool.
Ooh, Olympic Eklund. All right. You got me intrigued there. I was kind of hoping either way.
It's not all rain clouds. Like there could be some upsides there. Olympic Eklund would probably be one of them.
Man, I'd love to see that. I would love to see if he can make the regular squad, but that might be wishful thinking for sure there. So
I think with NHLers in the lineup, I don't think that's. I don't know. I mean, I really like Eklund, but I feel like there's enough with the NHLers going. Sweden has a ton of hockey players, so. I think he would be a long shot to make that Olympic team, but the World Junior team, obviously, he's going to be the captain. That's going to be awesome.
Nice. Something to look forward to. Where's the juniors at this year?
Oh, fantastic question. I have no idea. I just wait till they come on my TV. Where are they this year?
You look that up, and I will get to, in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com. or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button. That really helps us out. SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and always available at tealtownusa.com. And the answer is...
some European country. 2022. No, it is in Edmonton Red Deer.
Oh, they're going back to Edmonton and Red Deer again, huh?
I don't know. Is that the plan? Looks like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
How did that happen? There we go. Let's get Ian back there. There we go. Huh. I tried to search 2022 World Juniors and it takes my camera out. Well, that's what I get for multitasking here, I guess.
Yeah, Edmonton Red Deer. So that'll be fun.
Cool. And local times. We're not waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning for a game.
Right, yeah, no.
Speaking of prospects, Ben Gaudreau had a great night. I know they mentioned it on the Sharks PR Twitter, but had a night for himself in Sarnia's victory. I'm trying to see if I can pull that up. I'm using my phone this time, not going to, wipe out the entire broadcast while we're at the same time here. But I know he got a big victory for Sarnia over.
He has to. Like, that team is putrid. So, like, any game where they win, it's because they goalie the other team.
Yeah, and
it has a lot to do with it, usually, because they are not good.
And I'm looking at the highlights now, and he has an unreal save. We just retweeted out on the Teal Town USA Twitter there. Yeah, he made 36 saves for his third straight win stop 36-38 for Sarnia tonight. So kudos, Ben Gaudreau. I mean, we've been really excited about all the kids up and coming, whether it's Bordelot, Robbins, Weisblatt. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Could Ben Gaudreau be on the World Junior team? I think he'll be in the running. Is he the guy that's going to start? Probably. Again, it's hard because he's a good goalie on a really crappy team, so his overall numbers this year aren't anything to write home about. But I could see him being on the team. I just don't know if he would be the guy that would get, that they would go to out of their camp.
Gotcha. Well, with that, we'll bring it to a close here. Thank you all for watching. Ian, your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Great win. I think it's great. I think we've spent a lot of time giving you all of our opinions. We'd like to see yours in the chat, in the comments below. Other than that, though, at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine, if you have anything that you would like to discuss with me, hit me there. I like talking hockey, so hit me up.
I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. We will be back with you Thursday night following Sharks and Blues. That is a 5 o'clock start out in the Midwest. So we'll be back with you after that game. So do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That will notify you when we do go on the air because, of course, it is fluid. It could go into a 15-round shootout. So just
you
have
never
that.
Know.
Yeah, exactly. So like Ian said, leave a comment down below on what you thought on tonight's action if you're not watching us live. The conversation will continue in the Discord in just a few minutes. But until then, for Ian, I'm Erik. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you Thursday night. Jerry, thank you very much for the Venmo. Better late than never. We appreciate you, bud. We appreciate all of you. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you on the Discord in just a few.